Don't do that.
I think we might have to scoot over.
Oh. Scoot over.
All right. Well,
We need you up here.
yeah, we'll fit you in over here.
I already think I'm insane.
I mean, I'd hate to have to sit close to Michelle, but
Yeah, man.
so although she's over there talking, so it doesn't really matter.
I
I know.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. We are in chapter 16 of the book of Numbers. Okay. And if you will recall, we're skipping chapter 15 because it's basically giving instructions, but you'll remember chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 14 all dealt with sin among the children of Israel and complaints. And so chapter 12 was the famous quail passage where they asked for meat and got so much meat they when God says, I'm going to give you so much, it's going to be coming out of your nose. Then we have Miriam and Aaron getting frustrated at Moses and getting in trouble, and Miriam becoming a leper for a period. And then in chapter 14, we have the sending the spies into the land of Israel or into Canaan, and them coming back and saying, oh, no, we can't do it. And God getting pretty frustrated. So that's going to kind of continue. It's going to be the way I say it. What we're about to see is we're about to see a rebellion take place. Okay. So chapter 16, verse 1 says, now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the sons of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took Moses with a number of the people of Israel, 250 chiefs of the congregation chosen from the assembly, well-known men. Okay. Now, this gets confusing, but I want to make sure we understand. When it says sons of Reuben, it does not mean of the tribe of Reuben. There is a subgroup in the Levites that have a Reuben. So these are all Levites. Okay. So
Michael Irwin is now live.
Oh.
There you go.
That's good.
So it's important that we understand this. At least as far as we understand, these are all Levites. Okay. And they rise up against Moses with a number of the people of Israel, 250 chiefs of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men. They assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, you have gone too far, for all in the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Okay. So what they are getting at is this. Moses and Aaron are the leaders of the people. And these men do not like the direction things have gone. Now, they are not blaming themselves. They are blaming Moses and Aaron. Okay. So it's very clear how this works. The Lord is among all of us. So why do you exalt yourself above the assembly of the Lord? So why do you call yourselves our leader? So when Moses hears it, he falls on his face and he says to Korah and all of his company, okay, in the morning, the Lord will show who is his and who is holy and will bring him near to him. Okay. So there's an element here that we need to understand, and it's a very, very powerful discussion that comes up in some other places in Scripture. What Moses is saying is that tomorrow morning the Lord will choose between me and you. Okay, that's the picture here. Now, when we look at David and Saul, we have a moment where it says, may the Lord choose between me and you. Okay, there are several places in the Bible where the one who is God's is being attacked by those that are not following God, and that is the phrasing they use. So may the Lord choose between us. And while Moses is probably explaining what the Lord has told him, that is exactly what the discussion is. because these men of the sons of Korah, okay, or Korah and his followers are Levites. And they are saying, well, we have just as much right to lead the people as you do. We're just as holy as you are. And all the stuff that has happened has been your fault. And so we think we need new leadership. And I volunteer. It's what that really comes down to. Okay. So do this. So verse 6 gives the command that is given. Do this. Take censers. Now remember, a censer is the best way to describe it is if you've ever been in a Roman Catholic church, the thing that hangs off the chains and has incense in it, and they swing it and it lets smoke come out.
Didn't know they had a name.
That's what it's called. It's a censer. Okay.
I didn't know they did.
So
I'll be honest.
have
Smoky. Yep.
Korah and all of his company bring censers and put fire in them and put incense on them before the Lord tomorrow. And the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the holy one. So
Is this the red smoke? Sorry.
no, that's black smoke.
Black smoke. Okay.
For the Pope, it's black smoke if they don't choose a new one, and white smoke if they do.
Oh, I forgot all about that too.
Sorry.
Man, I'm learning new things
If it's green,
that I
they're gonna have
never
a lot of
learned in
fun there.
school.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so then it goes on. Okay, so bring them before the Lord tomorrow, and the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the holy one. You have gone too far, sons of Levi. Okay, now, once again, like I said, these are all Levites. Okay, so Moses says to Korah, "Hear now, you sons of Levi." Sorry.
It sounds a little bit like he was gonna.
Is it-
like that was gonna go a different direction there.
Is
Sorry.
it too small a thing for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do service in the tabernacle of the Lord, to stand before the congregation to minister to them? Okay, so now watch. Here's the idea. Is it not enough for you that God has done this? God has made you the keepers of the tabernacle. He has made you the special tribe of the priest. He has made you the special tribe of serving God before the people. And yet that's not enough for you. You need to go one step higher. That's what Moses is saying. Okay. And that he has brought you near him and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you. And would you seek the priesthood also? So you're not content serving in the tabernacle, you have to lead it.
I'm thinking there's been a few times though that Moses would have given it up.
That's probably true too.
Okay.
Okay. So therefore it is against the Lord that you and all your company have gathered together. Okay. What is Aaron that you grumble against him? So really what Moses is saying is Aaron's really nothing. It's about God. God chose Aaron and you are questioning God's choice. So that you're questioning God.
Okay, I've totally been guilty of that.
Okay. So now this is the fun part. Okay. So Korah and his small group are there. Dathan and Abiram. Okay. So Korah and On have come back. Dathan and Abiram have stayed in the camp. And so Moses sends to call them and they say, we'll not come up. So is it a small thing that you've brought us out of? Now watch. Is it a small thing that you brought us out of a land flowing with milk and honey? So they are using the term that God is using for the promised land for Egypt.
That goes bad.
So Egypt was the land flowing with milk and honey. Okay. To kill us in the wilderness, that you must also make yourself a prince over us. Moreover, you've not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. So here's the thing, and it comes back to this idea. What are they doing? They are blaming Moses for them failing to go into the land. Well, it wasn't us.
There were some giants.
Right. There in no way did we all say, no, we don't want to go in there because all the people are big.
They're gonna pick on us.
Yeah. It's your fault we're not in a land flowing with milk and honey.
Gotta blame somebody, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And I don't mean Moses.
Okay. So it goes on. Will you put out the eyes of these men? So what he's saying is, will you punish and cheat these men is kind of the idea. Okay. So you have not done what you said, but yet you think that you're supposed to be the king is kind of the idea. Okay. So Moses was very angry and he said to the Lord, don't respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them and I have not harmed one of them. So understand what Moses is saying. Once again, okay, God, choose between me and them. You know full well that in no way have I ever mistreated them. Okay. Now, once again, this is something that we see later in scripture as well. Okay. So if you'll recall, when we come to the story of Samuel, okay, Samuel has now become an old man. He's near the end of his life, and his sons are pretty crooked. And the people go, we want a king, like all the other nations have. And Samuel's hurt by it, but God says, well, they're rejecting me, not you. Okay. So then we come
Samuel,
through.
it's not about you.
So we go forward a little bit and we have the last public address of Samuel. And in his last public address, he goes, so I want all of you in this congregation. If I ever defrauded any of you, I want you to say it now. If I ever so much as took a donkey from you. And they'll go, oh no, you've always done good. So there is a level at which in that story, Samuel is making a point of, here's what I was, and here's what your king's about to be.
He will take it.
Okay. Now,
In fact, I'll take this.
here is part of the discussion of Moses here. It may not be exactly this idea, but what he is saying is they're thinking that I made bad choices and that I caused them harm and all of this. But Lord, you are fully aware that I never did that I followed you. I have never stolen from them. I have never cheated them. Okay. So verse 16, Moses says to Korah, be present, you and all your company, before the Lord, you and they, and Aaron tomorrow. And let every one of you take his censer and put incense in it. And every one of you bring before the Lord his censer, 250 censers. You also and Aaron each his censer. So every man took his censer and put fire in them and laid incense on them and stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron. Then Moses assembled all the congregation against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And the glory of God appeared to all the congregation. Okay, now, this is the same wording as what happened to Miriam and Aaron. God steps into their presence. Now, probably in the pillar of cloud, probably not direct see him, but the idea is God's full glory shows up.
Well, of course not, because they wouldn't appear
Because they
in
would have
any
been
part of the
missed.
story past that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bam,
So,
bam.
and so Moses and Aaron were left alone.
so then the Lord speaks to Moses and Aaron, saying, separate yourself from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment.
I think I'm going with Moses.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'll stand right behind Moses.
Yeah, I think if anyone else was like down there looking at,
So
oh,
understand. So once again, here's an interesting discussion of what happens. What he's saying is that because there is apparently a group in addition to just the 250 and that are here to watch the show.
Mhm.
And God goes, you get away from all of them and I'm going to wipe them all out.
like wipe them all out.
Like wipe them all out. And Moses and Aaron hit their face and say, are you really going to destroy all of them for just one man?
Yep, they were following him.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So they're just as wrong as.
I thought that was.
But and I agree with you, but this is the point of the story. This is the second time that God has been so angry. And then Moses steps in and goes, whoa, 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 whoa.
Look, I want him gone too, but
Okay.
calm down.
Now,
Look, I love you enough to say not to wipe out your people.
here is the idea. And remember last time, what did we say? Moses uses and remember, I want to make sure we understand this. God's will is not thwarted. However, I want to make sure that I say these words. The Bible phrases it, particularly the one in chapter 14. Okay, I think. I want to make sure that I'm right that it says this. Okay. Maybe not this place, but it's not this spot, but there is a place where this event happens and it says specifically, and God repented of what he was going to do. Okay, now I want to be clear in the way I say this. When we use the word repent, we use it infers a very specific thing. It's turning from sin. That is not what it means with God. Repent, the word means to make a turn. So it's God turned from his intention to wipe them all out.
Now you see.
He changed his mind.
He changed his mind.
Now you see. That's when you know it's serious.
Now, that is a
Yes.
very, very, very critical element of the nature of God. And I want to make sure I'm clear. There are people that will say these words, that God is, and I'm going to use the big word so that you'll know what the big word is when you hear it later, that God is immutable. Okay. And what it means is he's unchanging, or unchangeable is probably a better way to say that. Okay. Now,
It doesn't change
Here's-
for anyone. It doesn't change.
well, but here is why I bring this up. There are those that will use that phrasing to say that when the Bible says that God repented of his decision to destroy them, that's not really what it means, because God can't change his mind. And so he didn't really ever intend to destroy them. I would tell you that I have a really hard time believing that that is the case. They will also go to the extent to say that anytime you see in the life of, in the Bible, God angry, God sad, God happy, God, any kind of an emotional response from God, that it is not real, because God is unchanging and an emotion is a change. Hear me when I say this. That is a misuse of that idea. Okay. The idea is that no one can cause God to change. Okay, now God does say, I am the Lord, I do not change. Okay,
Love is an emotion.
well, that's exactly correct. And he would say, and they would say that the emotion of love that you see in God's character is not really there. Okay,
If it's not,
that
we're
love,
done.
there is an emotion of love and there is an action of love. And they would say that the emotion is not there. However, what the Bible seems to indicate is God is incredibly passionate in his love for us. So the emotion part of that is definitely there.
In fact, it's yet another way that we as humans can say we were created in the image of God.
Okay. But so understand, and I want to be clear in the way I say this, and I'm going to be honest. Some of this is my opinion, but I think it's backed up by scripture. When we say that God is unchangeable, it means that we cannot change him. He can change if he chooses to. Okay, which is watch right here. Separate yourself from among this congregation because I'm going to consume them all. Moses and Aaron fell on their face and said, O God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation? So then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, say to the congregation, so say to the rest of them, get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. So they are the insiders. Okay, now.
Get away from the instigators.
Get away from the
How many times
instigators.
have you guys heard that from me?
Yeah.
Mhm. Walk away. Just quit responding. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. All right.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Get away from the instigators. There's a reason.
so then Moses went to,
Don't be guilty by association. That's like God's gonna make that
right.
uh, hotly clear.
So verse 25 then says, then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, depart, please, from the tents of these wicked men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you be swept away with all their sins. So they got away from the dwelling of Korah and Dathan and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents, together with their wives, their sons, and their little ones. And Moses said, hereby you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works, and that it has not been on my own accord. Okay. If these men die as all men die, or if they are visited by the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. So here's what he means. These men will not just drop dead.
They will.
And they will not die of natural causes.
Naturally, they die.
Okay.
The anger.
Now watch this, because this is scary. But if the Lord does something new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belong to them, and they go down alive into the grave, then you shall know that these men have despised the Lord. And as soon as he had finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households and all the people who belonged to Korah and all their goods. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive into Sheol, or the grave, and the earth closed over them. They perished from the midst of the assembly.
And no wonder we say naturally they would have died.
In Revelation, it talks about that the earth opened its mouth and swallowed.
I was thinking there was another
I
time.
mean,
There may
like
be,
that.
but literally what it's saying is suddenly, and
Like
three tenths,
suddenly like earthquake levels of like splitting.
No,
more than that.
no,
like-
suddenly the earth just said no.
So the only way I can think of this that sounds kind of weird to say it, but the movie Empire Strikes Back, where they're in the cave and they're actually inside the thing's stomach, and they come flying out, and as they fly out of the hole in the ground, suddenly this huge bam, and barely misses them. That's the picture I get. Is the ground went
and it just
And listen to
Because
the
it closed
statement.
back
It
over
closed
it.
back
yeah,
over
yeah,
them.
no,
Now,
I understand.
It opened long enough that you probably heard them scream as they fell and fell and fell and fell and fell and fell and fell.
Oh,
And then finally,
Just like 20 or 30.
this would have been a 100. Well, no, probably not this is 3 families.
Mhm.
So maybe a 100 people. Because step down. Because God stepped down what he was going to do.
Mhm.
like that. That is terrifying to
Okay,
think about.
but-
Just like
That's a
standing,
step down.
standing. No,
Oh.
Standing apart
Terrifying.
from that and just hearing. And just hearing like.
That's how you knew. Oh God.
Yeah.
Like you should have known in the first place.
And who knows how long, and by the way, who knows how long it took for the earth to close back up?
Yeah.
We laugh about it. In Carlsbad Caverns, there's a place that they call the bottomless pit. Okay. Now, the reason it's called that is because for generations after the caves were discovered, they believed it didn't have a bottom because you could drop a rock in and you'd never hear it hit. So like if you take a well, an open well,
If you take
and you take a rock and you throw it in, after 2 or 3 seconds, you're going to hear plop. Well,
And you can calculate that.
and you
find
can
out how deep
calculate
it is.
exactly how deep the water is by how far. Well, so they tried to do that. You never heard it hit the ground. Well, the reason is actually because the bottom is a very soft sand. And so you never hear it hit. And they finally sent somebody down and explored it and found the bottom.
I just thought that they like took like.
I'll go do that.
I-
Not a problem. I'll go do
We're
that.
talking long before a camp.
I want to go. He was like, yeah,
Tie the rope around my waist. I'm
right.
going in.
But understand the idea that what this is saying is that is truly what is going on here. A completely bottomless hole opens up in the earth and their tents. And by the way, watch, these 3 men are the ones who are involved. Every single member of their immediate family dies. Their lineage is wiped off the face of the earth.
And that's why we say that they died of natural causes.
Mhm.
Naturally,
They
they
died.
died.
Okay, same thing is true of Achan later in Joshua.
Mm.
He takes something from the city of Jericho that he wasn't supposed to take. Now, God doesn't open the earth on him, but what he does, he says, you take him, his wife, his children, his grandchildren, all of his livestock, every living thing that belongs to him. You put it all together, you stone it till it's all dead, then burn it. So let me just make sure we're clear. God takes sin pretty seriously.
And it does matter what people around you believe.
It was taken pretty seriously. Okay, so by the way, then and all of Israel were around them, fled at their cry, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up. Then fire comes out from the Lord. So now fire comes out from the entrance of the tabernacle and burns up the 250 guys who were holding the censers. Wow.
I hope they all have the clearance because I'd need one.
By association.
Yeah, and also
Because they were offering an improper offering to the Lord.
Mhm.
The same reason that Nadab and Abihu died, the same way.
Oh, okay.
Nah.
By
You lit the
association.
wrong incense, so I'll light you.
Because you would have probably heard them. They were lit.
I can't, Michael. Oh my
Sorry.
goodness.
Okay. Then the Lord spoke to Moses.
Darkest humor ever.
Sorry. Okay. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, tell Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest to take up the censers out of the fire. Then scatter the fire far and wide, for they have become holy. So they're now set apart to God.
The censors
The censors.
themselves, the fire pants
yes.
themselves. Yeah.
Okay, not the people.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Thus they shall be a sign to the people of Israel. Okay, so Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned had offered, and they were hammered out as a covering for the altar to be a reminder to the people of Israel, so that no outsider who is not of the descendants of Aaron should draw near to burn incense before the Lord, lest he become like Korah and his company, as the Lord said to him through Moses.
Oh my God.
But on the next day,
I just read that. You gotta be kidding me.
all the congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord."
Oh my gosh. God took a step down from
Moses.
How long must I put up with you?
Disconnect.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go see Moses and I'm gonna stand on his road.
Okay.
Look,
Not even gonna roll.
heavenly
So-
Lord.
How long did I have to put up with each thing?
Oh, Lord.
So, and when the congregation had assembled against Moses and against Aaron, they turned toward the tent of meeting. And behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. And Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from the midst of this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." And they fell on their faces. Moses said to Aaron, "Take your censer, put fire on it from the altar, and lay incense on it, and carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from the Lord. The plague has begun." So understand that this is, once again, to make the comment to a movie idea. It is a bit like at the epicenter of the tabernacle, there has been a bomb of death that is radiating out from the tabernacle. And those closest to the tabernacle are dying. And Moses says, grab your censer. Now the censer this is not a golden censer used inside the tabernacle. It's a bronze censer of atonement. Take your censer, put fire in it, and you go run out amongst the people. And so what he does is Aaron runs out and begins to go through the people, and where his altar is, the wave of death stops. Okay, so watch. So it says, and Aaron took it as Moses said and ran into the midst of the assembly, and behold, the plague had already begun among the people. And he put on the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living. And the plague was stopped. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those that died in the affair of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting when the plague was stopped. So 350 or so died with Korah, and then another 14,000 die because they come back, well, you've killed the people of the Lord.
in total.
1,000.
1,000 people.
About twice the population of Tucumcari.
Just like that. What was this?
1,500 people, Nate.
Mhm.
Dead
This
in
is
2
more than
days.
14, isn't it?
1,500.
Portales is almost.
Do the math.
They're fighting enough that, you know,
Why
they're
did I
going
say
down enough.
1,500? Oh my god.
Right, that's the
So,
that is a factor right now. Yeah.
so understand, okay?
Yeah.
So this sounds very harsh, but what is actually going on? It's mutiny. They are rebelling against God, and God says, I'm not going to put up with it.
Okay, so in my mind, which is entertaining, I won't lie, but anyway, in my mind, the ones that are doing the grumbling again, would they not be closer to Moses and Aaron simply by
position.
Here's my question. Are Moses and Aaron hearing them come back at Moses about you killed them? Or are they saying that to God?
No, they are saying that to Moses and Aaron. They've come to the entrance of the tabernacle again.
So that good old plague
Just
included those.
So it rolled out just all of it.
Now, I'm not saying.
well, they
I
would
mean,
have been in kind of a group right at the
And
entrance.
to be fair,
So-
there were innocents among them. I don't mean that.
I mean, they watch what had happened.
Uh-huh.
And yet somehow they're like,
Yeah. Well, once
But-
wasn't enough.
Right?
Let me show you how it's done.
But
Mhm.
understand too that they are watching the presence of the Lord go with them daily, and that's not enough. Okay, so chapter 17 begins this way. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and get from them staffs, one for each father's house. From all the chiefs according to their father's houses, 12 staffs." So whoever is the head of each tribe, okay, whoever's the ruler of each tribe, go get a staff. Okay, now the staff is very important. Okay, remember in the story earlier in the Bible, whenever we see Judah and Tamar, what is it that Tamar asks for? His staff and his signet ring.
Mhm.
Now, understand, this is a very interesting discussion. The staff would have been engraved with the name of the tribe, and that says, "I'm in charge. I have the staff of," and has your name on it that says, "This is mine."
I have
Okay.
the power.
And we know that because of what happens. Write each man's name on his staff. So we have these leaders. They write the man's name on the staff, and then on the staff for Levi, they write Aaron's name, because he is the leader of the tribe of Levi as the high priest. Okay, so we now have 13 staffs, each with the name of the leader of each tribe. Okay, so there shall be one staff for the head of each father's house, so each tribe. Then you shall deposit them in the tent of meeting before the testimony, where I meet with you. Okay, so let's make sure we understand what we're talking about. We are talking about 12 long dead sticks. These are not fresh cut off the tree. They have been cut off for years.
Long dead meaning both
So they're like,
long, but also a long time.
so they're
It's been
like
dead a
thick-
long time.
so they're 6 foot.
So that means
But
if you
not
applied
really
the
very
smallest
fast.
amount of pressure, they just crumble to pieces
So,
instantaneously.
If you were to
More like
go into the
ketchup.
janitor's closet and grab a wooden broom handle, that's what we're talking about. Okay, it has not been part of a tree for a while.
I see.
Yeah, it's more like a sad stick, not a happy stick.
Now,
Yeah.
he says, "And the staff of the man whom I choose shall sprout."
So it shall just like turn like as if it's right off.
Growing.
Uh-huh. It
shall
will,
come
it
a
will
tree.
grow leaves. That's at least what it means. It'll sprout like it's a tree. Okay, then, okay. Thus I will make to cease from me the grumbling of the people of Israel, which they grumble against you. Okay, so Moses spoke to the people of Israel, and all their chiefs gave them staffs, one for each chief according to their father's houses, 12 staffs. And the staff of Aaron was among their staffs. And Moses deposited the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. So they spent the night inside the holy place of the tabernacle, each of these sticks. Okay. On the next day, Moses went into the tent of testimony, And behold, the staff of Aaron for the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds and produced blossoms, and it bore ripe almonds.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So overnight, not only does a dead stick bloom, but it does about 4.5 to 5 months of growth.
You know, God's a heck of
To
a
the
farmer.
point.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like
I would assume that means we know what kind of tree his staff was taken
I
off
think
of.
so.
like
It could have
an
been a
almond
peach
tree.
tree.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
you see, there's this Chuck Norris joke. And it's
Oh,
that,
no.
and it's that Chuck Norris takes an apple off a tree and makes lemonade. That's what God says.
Okay. So now the Lord said to Moses, okay, so put back the staff of Aaron before the testimony to be kept as a sign for the rebels. So there are 2 signs for each rebel. Okay, watch. The first one is that their staff is still a dead stick. Okay. The second one is anytime anybody goes, well, who's in charge? Oh, well, here, let me show you this. Here's the stick.
And
Have some almonds.
my name on it.
Has my name on it, has almonds, has buds, has leaves.
It is a bit like, and I want to say this, it is a bit like, although it's not sleight of hand or anything like that. What do magicians do to prove that that it's supposedly the same card? Have you autograph it?
Oh,
Here, put your name on it. Okay, and then whenever the trick ends, then the card they show you has your name on it.
Yeah.
That is the point here. Is in case anyone should doubt which stick it was that budded.
Here's the name.
Carved into it.
Here's the
Now,
name. You want to know?
this staff becomes one of the 4 or 5 things that were in the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. So when you talk about the Ark of the Covenant, originally there are 2 things in the Ark of the Covenant. There are the second set of 10 Commandment tablets.
I love how there's
What happened is the first test.
Moses threw them off the
Yeah,
mountain.
No.
Okay. And not in the way that the Mel Brooks, I don't know if you've ever, Mel Brooks has one and he's Moses and he's walking out with 3 stone tablets. And I have these 15 and then one of them falls. 10 commandments. So not that way, but Moses is so angry at the idolatry going on in the bottom. He throws down the tablets that were, by the way, written by the finger of God down and breaks them. And God finally goes, okay, so chisel out 2 more tablets, bring them back up so I can rewrite.
You know what would have been seriously funny if there was just someone standing right there and they just got.
Right.
It is an
Well, they would have just heard.
okay. So then
idea.
the second thing in the Ark of the Covenant is a jar full of the manna. Okay. Now, by the way, let's make sure we understand the picture here because this is small miracle in the midst of big miracle. We know that the manna, okay, Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday, you collected manna, and if you didn't eat it during the day, what was it like the next day?
You're on it.
It was rotted, it had maggots, it was rancid. On Friday, you could gather 2 days worth and it would be good the next day. The manna in the Ark of the Covenant
Never run it.
stayed good forever.
Which
Okay.
is a sign.
Now, we don't know where the Ark is, but I mean, technically, I guess by rule, the manna ought to still be in it. Okay. Because he tells them this will be a sign forever of what I did for you in the wilderness. Okay. Then the third thing is this: after Aaron's staff buds, it is put within the Ark of the Covenant.
And it's
as a
forever.
permanent reminder.
And it's forever about it, correct?
Uh-huh. Then the last thing, and it is still unclear, let me say this. It is a little unclear as to whether they are in the ark or just with the ark. But if you recall, in the days of Samuel, okay, we have Eli and his sons. They were wicked. The ark is taken by the Philistines. Okay. And the people of Israel are completely destitute. God's been defeated, and God's like, no, I haven't been defeated. So the Philistines take the Ark of the Covenant and they put it inside the temple of their god Dagon. And they get up the next morning and Dagon is on his face before the Ark of the Covenant. So they pick up their god again, which, by the way, has got to be the most awesome explanation of what it is to be an idol, is that you had to have your priest pick you back up.
Because they got you worshiping the one true God.
Okay. So they go to bed that night and they wake up the next morning, and not only is he back on his face, but his head and his hands have fallen off.
So they glue on his head and his hand.
Okay.
No,
So
wait,
at that point, suddenly a plague begins. And by the way, it appears that the plague involves two things: a massive infestation of rats and boils or hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are a really, really ugly condition where you can't sit down. Not pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So-
inferred that.
Now,
It's like,
now
I am
exactly
sorry,
how
I
this, now, it is unclear of which of those it is, but here is the story.
It doesn't translate well. Just
Here is the story how it goes. They contact the people of Israel and say, how do we get rid of this? Or they go back to their leaders and say, how do we get rid of this? Because this is bad.
This is like
And so they decide that they're going to do a test. They go for a test run first. Okay.
Why?
No, and I'm not kidding at all. They go for a test run.
No, I know you're not.
Okay.
Why?
So they take a female ox who has not weaned her baby yet. And they take her and they take her away from her baby and they bring her over. She has never pulled a cart before, and they hitch her to a cart. And in the back of the cart, they put the Ark of the Covenant and they put 10 golden rats. So they take 10 rats that they've formed out of gold and 10 golden hemorrhoids. 10 golden representations of the boils or the hemorrhoids or whatever. That is exactly how the Bible phrases it. And they say, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to let the ox go. If the ox turns around and goes back to baby, then we'll know this has nothing to do with God. If the ox heads towards Israel, then we know it's God.
And
The ox goes straight to Israel. So basically understand that what the test is they are testing a female ox who has never pulled a cart before, whether she will leave her baby to die. Okay, so before they're weaned, a mother cow will stick pretty close if it's a good mother. Okay. And so that's what they would have picked. They would have picked one that had been nursing for a while.
Too, if she's never pulled a cart before, she's gonna fight him, she's
Mhm.
gonna kick.
Yeah,
and
it's
everything.
it's not
She's not gonna be.
she's
tame,
not gonna
she's
take
not-
to it by any stretch.
But
Yeah.
she seen the hemorrhoids and she didn't want
So the story goes, and it is a little unclear which is the case, that the children of Israel then took an example of the golden rats and the golden hemorrhoids and put them in the Ark of the Covenant to remember this moment. Okay.
Man, I so want to know what's in it now.
It is very,
I wish we knew where it was at.
It is an incredible story of how all that works. Okay. But in this case, what we have is, okay. So put back the staff of Aaron before the testimony to be kept as a sign for the rebels, that you may make an end of their grumbling against me, lest they die. Thus did Moses, as the Lord commanded him, so he did. And the people of Israel said to Moses, behold, we perish, we are undone, we are all undone. Everyone who comes near the tabernacle of the Lord shall die. Are we all to perish? Okay, so what they are saying is, wait a minute, in the last week, every single person who's come near the tabernacle gets killed. Except for you two, but
Except for you too. Why are you not-
so we're going to see next time, as we go forward, we're going to see this idea of them restoring this relationship that's been broken through their rebellion. Okay, so we should pick up on 18, and we'll go forward. I am going to be completely honest with you. Numbers does not necessarily get any better as far as their obedience. We're only, I'll be fair, we're only a couple of chapters from my favorite story ever. I was actually looking to see where. Yep. No, it's about 4 chapters. The story of Balaam is my favorite story in the entire Bible.
Can you give me like
The donkey.
The talking donkey.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
good. We're good. I need no further explanation.
So, I'm gonna out Michael. Today's his birthday.
Hey.
47.